Se me ven los labios como si los trajera muy rojos. Bueno, okay, so good afternoon, guys. We are going to have today a review of what is this review, what do you want it to be? Do you want it to be of the reported speech and the hypothetical conditional, second conditional, or only of the second conditional?
De los dos, yo creo. Hipotética y el second.
¿Ah?
El hipotética y el second, o sea, son dos diferentes.
Mismo.
Es el mismo. ¿Y cuál es el otro?
El de reported speech. She said that she wanted to go to the...
Yo digo que el second condition.
Okay.
No sé los demás.
So let's go there. So we're gonna see again the same presentation I showed you in class, but we're gonna explain it again. Okay. So this is the Lucky film. Okay, so the hypothetical conditional, which describes situations that in the present and in the future, this conditional talks about imaginary situations, which means that it is not possible in the present, or is very difficult to happen, or maybe it is impossible because of the circumstances or whatever you're talking about. So it depends, right? If it could be used for something impossible to happen or for something that is not possible in the present or very difficult. So what am I gonna use? I'm going to use the if clause with the past tense. If I had more money, if I wanted a job, if I were famous. When I'm using the verb to be in this conditional, I am always going to use where. Remember that was, the verb to be in past tense is was and where, but when I'm using it with the hypothetical conditional, I'm gonna use where instead of was. It is not that was, it is incorrect, but it is not common to use it. So when I have if, I'm always going to use the past tense. Then on the other class, these two clauses will be connected. If I start the sentence with the if clause, when I finish this clause, I'm gonna write a comma, and then I'm gonna start the other clause. I will buy a car. So these are like two separated sentences in one. They are separated by a comma. So if I have more money, I will buy a car. The other clause is going to be subject, would, and infinitive. If I had more money, if past. If I had more money, I would buy a car. If I wanted a job, I will look for one. If I were famous, I wouldn't be happy. So this is for the negative ones, I wouldn't. So wouldn't is the negative form of would, and the negative form of the past tense for the action verbs is didn't. And for the verb to be in negative in the past tense, it will be weren't. So in the if clause, would auxiliary verbs help me? Didn't for the negative ones and weren't negative, same. Okay, so we are going to use if plus, it's the past tense. Forget about where it says here present. Is the if plus the past tense plus would or wouldn't plus infinitive to form the hypothetical condition, which is the second conditional. Use hypothetical conditionals to talk about imaginary situations in the present or future and its consequence. For example, if I knew the way to the museum, I will tell you. So I'm starting the sentence with if, so then it means that it's going to be joined with the past tense. If I knew the way to the museum, then comma in the other clause. I would, infinitive, tell you. What does this mean? That I don't know the way to the museum. Second example, well, this one is very difficult and impossible at the moment. Second one, if I won the lottery, I will never work again. I'm very unlikely to win the lottery, so it's just an imaginary situation. If plus past tense, comma, other clause. Subject, would, never is an adverb, so I will never, and the word which is the infinitive verb, right? If I won the lottery, I will never work again. More examples. Well, it says in here, would is often contracted as I've. So if you see this, I, you, head, with, bathe, it is okay, it's correct. And if you see a subject apostrophe D in this type of sentences, it means that is would. And the negative form, it is not contracted as not. For example, it would be as wouldn't. Now, again, if we had more money, we'd buy a bigger house. This apostrophe D is the would of the contracted form of would. We wouldn't live in the city if we didn't need to. What does this mean? That they live in the city because they're working. So, but if they didn't, they're just imagining. If it wasn't a need and necessity, they would be. If it wasn't a need, they wouldn't be in the city. It is possible to change the order of the clauses. Notice that there is a comma after the if clause in the first example, but no comma in the second. What does this mean? That you can start, that you can place this, because remember, it's like two sentences in one. So it's one with the if and the other one is with will. So they are called clauses. So I can start the sentence with the if clause, or I can start it with a will clause. So don't get confused and don't go like, oh, we're always start with if, so then at the beginning it's always going to be past tense. No, just notice that the if clause goes with the past tense and the will clause goes with the infinitive. I can start the sentence with the will clause, or I can start it with the if clause. It doesn't matter. If I started with the if clause, I'm going to separate both clauses with a comma. If I started with will, I won't. Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
If we had children, I'm starting with the if clause. If we had children, hasta ahí se termina mi primera oración, coma. Our lives will be very different. Entonces, el verb to be con la parte del would, el verb to be no funciona como is, am, or are. If I'm using would, I'm going to use be. Would be. Si lo uso acá con la parte del if y me dice ahí que tengo que usar el verb to be, entonces sería were. Ahora la estoy empezando con el would. Our lives will be very different if we had children. With the verb be, it is becoming more common to use was instead of were. I wouldn't say that. It's more common to use were for every single subject. So if he were a lawyer, he will tell you what to do. If I were you, to give advice. Utilizamos esta expresión de if I were you como para decirle a alguien algo que debería hacer, right? If I were you, I wouldn't invite her. If I were you, I'd tell him your plans. If I were you, I'll go to the party. If I were you, I'll take a nap. I don't know. We use the expression if I were you to try to give an advice to the other person. So again, keep in mind, it is separated into clauses. The clause of would is with the infinitive, and the clause of if is with the past tense. I can use would with the past tense, and I cannot use if with would. So, second conditional, here I have more examples. I, he, she, and it. If I were invisible for one day, I could play tricks on my friends. If he weren't so stubborn, he would admit he was wrong. If she were a good friend, she will help you. If it were cheaper, I could buy it. So I can replace, let's say that I can replace would for could, but it's more common to use will. Here we have more examples. Jonathan, can you help me to read the first one, please?
If I have money, I will travel more.
Okay, what does this mean? That the person doesn't have money, so he's not traveling more. Second example, if I ask.
If I ask Susan out, will she accept?
Okay, so when we're making questions, we're gonna start with the if clause. If I ask Susan out, and then I'm gonna make the interrogative. Will she accept? And the interrogative is as any other question that I have to start with the auxiliary and then the subject and then the verb. Next example, Bernardo, please, if I became president.
If I became president, I would change my things.
Okay, what does this mean? That she's not a president, but she's imagining, right? She's thinking that she could be. So if I became a president, I will do many things. Okay, if I had more time, I would take up a sport. What does this mean? That he doesn't have time, he's just imagining. If I were you, I wouldn't invite her. So as I told you before, using if I were is trying to give an advice to someone else. And notice the structure, I repeat. If goes with past and will goes with the infinitive. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So let's see. Underline the correct alternative. We're gonna do it together because it's a review thing, right? Okay, so here in the first one, if I were or will be a famous soccer player.
Where?
Where, very good. If I were a famous soccer player, I will live in a big house. Very good. If she worked or will work harder.
Work.
Worked. If she worked harder, I'm sure she'll be more successful. If I play more sports, I will feel better. So if I play more, I give you the answer.
Theo.
Yeah, it was Phil. Okay, 4. Samantha, can you read number 4 with the correct answer, please?
If I have the day off, I will stay in bed.
Very good. Number 5, Games, can you give me number 5 with the correct answer, please?
If I wouldn't work of tutoring, I would be bored.
Okay, what do you think, guys? Do you all agree or do you think that it's different?
Lo que dijo, no lo entendí.
If I wouldn't work or study, I will be bored.
If I didn't.
If I
I
didn't.
didn't. Why, Games? ¿Por qué? Porque tengo la if. Tengo la if. This is the if clause. And I can't use will with the if clause.
Okay, sí, ya
Te
entendí.
repetiría, ¿no?
Okay, Carlos, number 6.
I will read more if I didn't have a TV.
Very good. And number 7, Bernardo.
I would use my bicycle more if I didn't have a car.
Use. Okay, very good. So till this point, do you have a question?
No.
No?
No.
Me da risa que estoy viendo quienes entraron y Jaciel fue uno de los que insistió en que diera el review y no está. Ok. Bueno, pero qué bueno que pudieron entrar ustedes. Aquí dice, match 1 to 6 with A to F to make sentences. Okay, so this is just mix and match. Okay, so if you went to bed earlier, what would you match it to? If you went to bed earlier,
You wouldn't feel so tired.
you wouldn't feel so tired. Very good. What does this mean? That the person is tired and went to bed late. Okay, number 2. If she asked Tim to marry her,
I'm sure he will say
I'm sure she will say yes. Very good. If we came in the summer,
Will we go to the beach?
very good. Will we go to the beach? So remember, when we are making questions, we first use the if clause normal, and then we start the interrogative in the order of would, subject, and verb. Next, we will visit you tomorrow. Remember, this is an imaginary situation. So we will visit you tomorrow if what?
if the trains were running. I said,
If the trains were running. I'll get there early.
If he work longer,
Work longer hours.
I don't think so. Try again.
If I were you.
If I were you. So therefore, the last one is she will earn more money if she worked longer hours. Okay, now it says in here, put the verbs in parentheses into the correct form. Number one, these are the verbs. So the first is for the first part and the second for the second one, right? Okay, so we are going now to answer these exercises using what is needed depending on the context. If it starts with the if clause, so then you already know what to do. If it starts with the will, so then consider that, right? Not all of the sentences will start with would, not all of the sentences will start with if. Okay, so first example, the verb is go to the doctor if I, and then the other verb is be, you. He can give you some medicine. So number one is?
I will go to the doctor if I were you.
Very good. I will go to the doctor if I were you. Excellent. Jonathan, number two, please. If they, the first verb you need to use is sell. And then the second one is buy. But it's an interrogative, so that's why you have two spaces to make the question. So if they ice cream here, how would you change or how will you use the verb sell?
selling.
Selling is present continuous.
No.
Run. What do you need to do? If they ice cream here, does anybody know?
Sold.
Sold. Past tense. If they sold ice cream here, and then it is a question, then it means that I have to start with the conditional. I mean, with the modal verb. What modal verb am I using? Would.
Would you buy
Then the
some?
subject is you, and the rest of the sentences stays the same. Buy some. If they sold ice cream here, would you buy some? Very good. Okay, number three. Jonathan, since you couldn't help me with number two, I want just to make sure that you are getting it. So help me with number three. The first verb is help and the second one is get. So you, if, I, but I'm too busy right now. So the first verb you need to use is help. What are you gonna do with help?
I will help.
I will help, very good. I will help you if I.
Ese no se me ocurre.
Cool.
With the if, you need the past tense, and the past tense of can is, as Bernardo said, could. If I could. I will help you if I could. What does this mean? That he can help me. Okay, number four, Samantha. If I have
My phone with me, I will call him.
very good. I will call him. Number five, Games. If we have past tense, if we had more food, I what?
I will ask.
Will ask. I will ask them to stay for dinner. Good. Carlos, number six, if you Carlos. Okay, Bernardo, number 6.
If you live near to us, we will see you more often.
We will see you. Very good. We will see you. 7. This is a question. So interrogative questions only go with the will part. So Jonathan, how am I going to start this question?
En vez del be se pone where, ¿no?
Pero es una pregunta. This is a question. Empiezas con el modal verb que usas en las oraciones del second conditional. ¿Cuál es el modal verb que usas?
El will.
El will. Ok. Entonces hasta aquí sería. Will your brother what? Will your brother
Will your brother where?
no puedes usar el past tense con el will.
Be.
Be. Will your brother be happier if he not work es tú lo que tienes que usar en past tense negative. Entonces, ¿cómo sería?
No, it didn't.
Didn't work.
Didn't work. Así es. Number 8. Who wants to help me with number 8? It says, if you
Didn't make.
didn't always make. Ajá, aquí tengo un adverb que son de esos adverbs
Okay.
de frecuencia. Eso sería if you didn't always make. If you didn't always make such a mess, the kitchen
Will be cleaner.
will be cleaner. Very good. Ok, prácticamente son todos los ejercicios que tengo de este tema. Sin embargo, podemos irnos al libro si gustan. ¿Cómo se sienten hasta aquí?
Bien.
¿Bien? Jonathan Gámez.
Nomás que se me olvida lo de los cómo se dice en pasado, pero eso ya ni al caso. O sea, como ya sabiendo cómo acomodarlo ya.
Sí, recuerden eso. El would siempre forever va a ir con el infinitive. Y la if clause siempre va a ir con el past tense. ¿Cuáles son los auxiliares para las oraciones negativas? Porque en negativo, pues no voy a usar el verbo en pasado. Para las oraciones negativas en pasado, pues voy a usar didn't, si es con action verbs, y were and, si es con el verb to be. Y si estoy usando el verb to be con would, pues lo voy a usar como be, will be. ¿Se sienten listos o quieren repasar un poquito más?
Digan.
Yo estoy pues bien, yo creo, con eso, no sé lo demás.
Yo también ya con eso.
Sí.
Ella.
¿Seguro, Jonathan?
Sí, Miss.
Bueno,
Está bien.
entonces les voy a compartir en este momento, voy a terminarlo y les voy a mandar el código por WhatsApp, por favor, para que lo abran en Quizzes, ¿ok? Les voy a mandar el link y el código, ¿ok?
Ok.
Okay.
Thank you.
Muchas gracias.
Bye.